I was so embarrassed, and I was just like, I gotta go. I gotta go. I got ish. They disturbed our operation, so we didn't have jingles, and we were doing them live. It was my co-host and I. This is the ultimate trial. It's Tuesday, and I choose you. I choose you. That's a real song, isn't it? Awesome. Welcome to this podcast, Zambia. What a day. My name is Dingindaba Jonah Buyoya. The second episode of this week, but the sixth of the season. We are taking a look at some of the stories that are making news across Zambia. And it is always fun for us to share these stories and talk about them on our podcast. Very soon, I think we've compiled enough of your comments, so we are going to be taking a look at some of your comments on tomorrow's episode. What is coming up on our podcast? Dr. Maureen Mwanawasa was put to rest yesterday, and apparently the former First Lady was abandoned by many who now claim to have loved her. And we'll be getting into detail into this. It got quite intense at the funeral ceremony yesterday. Mansa District Health Office raises alarm over food poisoning, and the authorities there say most of the cases are linked to consumption of local beverages called munkoyo at social events. We'll be getting into detail into that. And the first story that I'm actually going to be starting with, the Lambos are making news, but this time around it's about court issues, not because they're going to court, but because they're going to court alone. And in fact, let's start from there. Lawyers representing former Lusaka Province Minister Bowman Lusambo and wife Nancy have withdrawn their legal representation in a matter in which the duo are accused of possessing property suspected to have been obtained through proceeds of crime. They're facing 10 counts of possessing property suspected to be proceeds of crime, and this is against the laws of Zambia. And Magistrate Fides Hamaundu today, when the matter came up for commencement of trial, of defense rather, Mr. Lusambo requested an adjournment to secure new legal representation, citing the insufficient time frame to prepare adequately with new lawyers. This very, very not unusual. It happens a lot, and a lot of the times this happens because of legal fees and all that. But Nico Namwinga was there and brings us this report.
In a dramatic turn of events at the Lusaka Magistrate Court today, lawyers representing former Lusaka Minister Bowman Lusambo and wife Nancy Manasseh have withdrawn their legal representation. In this matter, the couple is facing 10 counts of corrupt acquisition of public property, possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, tax evasion, and conspiracy to fraud contrary to the laws of Zambia. Among the allegations, Mr. Lusambo jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown, did possess property comprising of a single-story 4-bedroom house and a guest wing located in Chamba Valley in Lusaka. Property reasonably suspected of being proceeds of crime. Appearing before Magistrate Fides Hamaundu, lawyer Emmanuel Piri representing Kulabota tells court they have instructions on behalf of their client to withdraw as advocates for both accused persons on professional grounds. He adds the legal team had an occasion to discuss with both accused and explained to them the implication for the said application. Mr. Piri has since stated that a notice of withdrawal shall be filed in the course of the day. When the matter came up for commencement of defense, the state says it was ready to proceed, but told court that Mr. Lusambo informed them he wanted to address the court. Mr. Lusambo has told court that he had informed the Anti-Corruption Commission he is unwell and further asked the court to give them ample time and use its discretion to adjourn the matter to allow the accused to see a doctor and engage new lawyers. With no objection, the state reiterates that the proceedings are time-driven and have heard the response based on affidavit in support of the application to have the matter adjourned. Magistrate Hamahundu has since adjourned the matter to August 27, 2024 for commencement of defense. Nicole Namwinga, Diamond News.
Now, one of the lawyers who represented late former First Lady Mwanawasa Dixon Jerry emotionally took the stand during her valedictory that days leading to her death. She was abandoned by people she needed the most. During the ceremony at the Supreme Court, Mr. Jerry wondered why people pretended to have loved Dr. Mwanawasa after her death when they could not be there during her difficult time. Mr. Jerry says a fortnight before her death, he received a writ of summons against her, to which she made a plea not to be abandoned like the way others did. Also speaking during the church service, President Hakainde Hichilema pledged to support the former First family. Let's take a look at this report.
A state funeral fit for the former First Lady and an activist. While a bow and public appearance by Dr. Maureen Mwanawasa, who died at the age of 61 on August 13, 2024, after hospitalization at Mansa Community Hospital. Her coffin dropped in Zambian flag as the cortege made its way into the Supreme Court, led by the army for her valedictory ceremony session.
What do we learn from Madam Mwanawasa is that Zambia is a country of hypocrites. There we are, speaking lovely about this great woman. Where were we when we were going through, when she was going through the difficulties? And so when she died, I remembered that famous speech of the South African politician Julius Malema at the death of Winnie Mandela. Mama, they are here. And I said, Mama, they are here. We need to be there for colleagues when they are going through troubles. We shouldn't be doing nice speeches, raising money for the funerals, when we could be there for colleagues when they are going through difficulties. If all of us really were there for her, we would have even lessened her burden. Mama, they are here. A few weeks ago, I had received a writ of summons, and I didn't have instruction to receive the writ instruction. And when I communicated with her, she said, Counsel, I hope you're not abandoning me, because everybody is abandoning me. Zapata Milana.
Her funeral church service was attended by hundreds of people from all walks of life, among them politicians, civil society organizations, traditional leaders, and the clergy. It was an emotional ending for the children, grandchildren, friends, and relatives as they paid the last tributes.
As I say goodbye, I promise to carry your legacy forward, to honor the lessons you taught me, and to ensure that your love continues to shine through me and let me. Farewell, Mom. I'll always love you, and you'll always be my best friend.
It is hard to bear the burden of laying my mother to rest today, August 19th, the day when my father passed away 16 years ago. But as a family, we are reminded to see this as a sign of the profound bond Mom and Dad shared, a bond that transcended life itself.
Republican President Hakainde Hichilema has made a commitment to support the Mwanawasa family.
We will do our part to support in whatever way possible to keep the family together.
Dr. Mwanawasa has left behind 4 children and a grandchild, with her final resting place being Leopard's Hill Memorial Park in Lusaka, although she wanted to be buried at her Silverest residence. August 19th remains a sad day in the Mwanawasa family when 16 years ago is the day their father, former 3rd Republican President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa, died. And now, it is the day that his wife has been put to rest. Darius Jonya, Diamond News.
Okay, so it's a big issue that I think we need to be talking about. I think it's a little embarrassing for the country when you talk about people that were, I mean, if you're the first lady, you were literally at the top of the country. And there's a lot that goes into this, and I think that there was a time I was having a discussion with a colleague of mine, and we were talking about how first ladies are not recognized, but I feel like they should be recognized to a very large extent because they actually contribute a lot to the country. They don't have an official position. I mean, it is an official position, isn't it, to be first lady? I mean, I don't know how I can say it, an official duty, right? But they always are there, to support their husbands as they lead these countries and also to do their own work. Everybody's inviting them to their charity events, using their clout and using them to lobby and all those things. And it feels like after their service, they are really not as recognized, not as supported. And, it needs to be perhaps more systematic. And I think this is what would be a good conversation to have, because if people feel that such officials are left behind without support, what exactly guarantees a support? How can people count on the support that they give them? How can they guarantee that they're giving them support? I think those are the very important questions that we need to be asking ourselves. But I think that the bottom line, and has always been clear, is that we need to support people that have served us, especially in those capacities, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that is being done. I feel like it's a very stressful job to be president and to be a president's wife. It's everyone complaining about everything and they're just talking about you. It can take a toll. One would argue that they are the ones that ask people to put them in that position, but they still are offering a service, an important one at that. And that's why we need to always remember to take care of these people as a sign of gratitude also. Especially, this is a very sad situation, especially considering the fact that this is a former first lady married to one of the presidents that a lot of people respect in Zambia and a lot of people consider one of the best presidents that this country has had. And if that's the case, then I think that the story could have been significantly different. But also, I mean, I don't know, people at this point argue if this is the appropriate time to talk about some of these things. But, if not now, then when, Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Of food poisoning. I say of food poisoning because the last few days I've been talking about aflatoxicosis and the aflatoxins that are present. I also managed today to talk to a doctor, a vet, and he says that at their facility they have had 11 confirmed aflatoxicosis dogs having died, and this is what we're dealing with at the moment, that there's several dogs that have died, but there's also a human health impact concern that is existing at the moment. And I don't know how many times we're going to have to say this for people to take it, for government to respond, for government to take it seriously and act on it, but it's a huge concern. There's a further lady that got in touch with us also explaining how her dogs died. She's got 5 dogs, 3 of them died, and she was feeding them roller meal. And this roller meal unfortunately led to the death of her dogs because of the aflatoxins that are in the roller meal. The Millers Association of Zambia is on record coming out, recognizing the fact that there is contaminated milling meal that is on the market at the moment, but they're still conducting their investigations. The Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry says that they are aware of this and they actually know some of the places that have this, but they've not issued a statement yet. They've not spoken on this yet, probably because the expectation is that it's going to die down, just like the dogs are dying, and people are consuming this poisonous substance that will probably lead to their death because it damages the liver. And the doctor I spoke with most recently says that it can take a bit of time in damaging your liver, but it's not just your liver; it also damages your kidneys. And yeah, we've stressed this enough, and I think that people also need to kind of respond to government, raise alarm to government, and make them do something about it, and take up some serious decisions. But yeah, Mansa district has recorded 4 deaths over the past two months due to food poisoning. The Mansa district health office has revealed that many of the cases are linked to the consumption of local beverages. That's munkoyo at social events. The public health officer there, Stephen Ngoi, is saying to the public that they need to avoid eating food from public sources in order to protect lives. We've got this story by Kalombeka Pambwe.
Mansa district has experienced a series of food poisoning incidents, prompting police investigations into the cases. The district health office has voiced serious concerns about these preventable issues, which have resulted in fatalities.
The other episode we experienced was at Senamale 1 hospital, also involved food as a result of consuming vegetables that were spread with chemicals but used before chemicals would not worn out from the vegetables. And then the other one was in Mupofwe and Songo. That was also food poisoning as a result of consuming munkoyo. That was specifically to do with munkoyo.
In response, the district health office is actively engaging in public awareness campaigns to enhance food safety.
For people that are suspecting such things like food poisoning, it is important that you communicate, or it's important that you reach out to the health facilities so that they can attend to you. Because we lose most of the lives because information delays, or because we feel there's something that we can do as a community.
So firstly, those people that are in charge of handling this food for huge amounts of people, the first thing I would advise those people is to practice personal hygiene. Make sure as they are preparing this food that is going to be consumed by large numbers of people, they must be clean. Make sure they prepare the food well.
Recently, Zwad reported 3 deaths linked to the consumption of a local beverage known as umunkoyo.
Not only munkoyo, but even this local beer, like chibuku, and also other beers. We've seen how people have died as a result of drinking the same. So just an appeal that they should drink with extra care.
Authorities urge residents to follow safety guidelines and be cautious with local food and beverages to prevent further tragedies. Kalombeka Pambwe, Diamond News.
Isn't that scary, though? That it's a bit of a nightmare that you are told not to be eating food in public. I think that we need to deal with the fundamental problem there. We need to find out what the cause of all this is. Because people can't stop eating in public. It's just not going to happen. People are going to be eating in public. And it's part of progressive society. Life is very fast. It's very busy. And at some point, it's going to require you to eat in public. And I think that if the standards are in place and if the system is functioning effectively, then nobody is going to die. Well, somebody is going to die, but it should be easy for us to ascertain why they've died, what happened, as opposed to just be surprised that months have passed and people have died and we don't know why. It's a bit strange. And it says a lot about us, doesn't it? The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development says that yes, works are in the way in the first phase in the upgrading of Kyama compound, and they've started, and this is after the release of 100 million kwacha by the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. There's 310 million kwacha that has been budgeted for the upgrading of Kyama constituency. And the Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, says that phase one of the works will involve the upgrading of the drainage systems, among others, to resolve a number of historical challenges being faced by the residents in the area. If you ever know anything about Kyama, then you know that the drainage system is horrible there. There's a lot of flooding and muds in the roads and the markets. And that's the reason why, it's important that this undertaking does materialize. And we've got this report by Peter Zunda Jr.
Kyama is one of the largest community in Lusaka. The community faces the high risk of flooding and epidemics such as cholera. It is one of the areas in Lusaka that experiences flooding as a result of unplanned houses, pit latrines, poor drainage systems and blocked drains. Government, through the urban upgrade project, has set aside about 310 million kwacha for the upgrade of Kyama constituency. Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary Nicholas Piri has revealed that out of the allocated 310 million kwacha, the Ministry of Finance last week released 100 million kwacha for the commencement of the program.
We also needed to address the issues of housing, the habitation of the people. So these are the key themes that came out of that discussion at the government level, not only for Kyama, but for the larger Lusaka region, the greater Lusaka region, if you like, which includes Kyama in this sense. We have George compound and several other compounds, that are supposed to receive that facility. But of course, Kyama was a priority because of the population density that is in this constituency.
This development has elated Kyama Member of Parliament, and he has called on the Lusaka City Council to take the project as the first priority during the implementation period, as most of the 2024 projects in Kyama have not been actualized despite funds being readily available.
All projects under CDF in Kyama for 2024 have not been actualized. Can you imagine? Very, very sad. Very, very sad. I just lobby for the people, and we have lobbied that there are these projects. Funds are there. Can you actualize them? Nothing. I think we end up boxing matches.
The ministry's acting director planning now explains the scope of works.
We will look at, ensuring that drainages are done. Where drainages are blocked, we unblock and ensure that there is flow of water to siphon it outside out of the area, as well as we look at provision of clean water, so that people have access to clean water and prevent the waterborne disease, specifically cholera in this case.
With the coming of this project, residents are still not convinced that this project will be fully implemented. However, they have expressed happiness and wants the program to be actualized as soon as possible.
Yambeni drainage, yambeni manzi yambe kupita olopa mene hapa napa janje pamepafunika maningi ma drainage ya kuleko mwe bantu ma drainage onani vanavala kulibi ungakamba chini drainage yame vanatipangira mwe bantu shuwa itipemba pamene hapa muyambe kutipangira mvula ikalibobwera tapapata mwe bantu.
This announcement was made when Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary Nicholas Pili held a meeting in Kyama with the community leadership to discuss the project and the scope of works to be undertaken during the implementation of the program. Peter Zunda Jr., Dama News.
I wonder what Kyama constituency will look like after this upgrade. 310 million kwacha is quite a bit of money, and it'll be good to see some progress being made in this constituency and to see the quality of life improve based on the infrastructure that is built in that area. So all the best to Kyama. There's one thing about Kyama though that I've heard, and I don't know how true it is, that I think that it was pretty consistent back in the day. When you go to Kyama, it's like the same bus fare. It was always tukwacha. So I don't know if they've increased the bus fare. It doesn't matter how many times they increase the fuel price, but apparently the bus fare from in Lusaka City Market to Kyama is always pretty constant. I don't know how true that is, and I don't know how things have changed, because things have changed. Money is hard to find. It's a complicated matter. It's a hard nut to crack. Okay, I'm just trying to be funny. And finally, the Open Truckers Association of Zambia has criticized mining companies in the country for favoring foreign transportation firms over local ones for corporate transport contracts. The association president Benson Tembo says local transporters who have the necessary capacity and expertise are being unjustly overlooked. Let's take a look at this by Lambos.
The Open Truckers Association of Zambia is speaking out against the mining companies in the country, accusing them of favoring foreign transportation firms over local ones for corporate transport contracts.
We are not involved in the transportation of minerals from the mines. We are not involved in many transportation activities. The business is mainly given to transporters who are either owned by foreigners or they are coming from outside Zambia.
Association President Benson Tembo says this practice is unfair and is having a negative impact on the local economy.
If that business came, definitely Zambians will participate. But what we are saying is that we have enough business locally, and if properly managed, you will see citizen-owned transporters being very active.
The association is urging mining companies to consider the benefits of using local transporters, including job creation and revenue generation for the country.
Of step instrument number 35 will see to it that citizens will take center stage. And when citizens take center stage, it means Zambia will retain wealth. And at the end of the day, we will grow the capacity and meet the threshold required to transport all the quantities that shall be allocated to the Zambian citizens. Yes,
the Open Truckers Association of Zambia is seeking a level playing field for local transporters. Lambos for Diamond News in Ndola.
Now. If these guys are able to deliver and if they've got the capacity, it's always in the interest of Zambia to give jobs to Zambians, because the Zambians are not going to get jobs anywhere. And if you look at how the trends of the world are moving, all countries are safeguarding their own people. All countries are safeguarding their own people and putting their own people first. It only makes sense because your people will not be put first in another country. They will not. So it's important, to put into consideration that these people need to survive here in their own home before they can look for opportunities elsewhere. There's a lot of opportunities in Zambia, but, we need to make the environment conducive for people to be able to do business. This is what's buzzing in Zambia. What a day.